Hey, it's December 10th, 2025. And funny, Chris, last week I think it was over the weekend, we talked about scheduling to be on the show, just talk about the upcoming session. We had no idea that you're going to be going back to work next week.
Yeah, in fact, I think several people had asked me. They said, "Oh, you think you're going to have a special session?" And I said, "No, at this point, it's happened." When we first left in April, would end up back um, fall.
Yeah.
But once it got to early December, I was like, "Nah, why would we be doing that?" But here we are.
Hey, how are we going to deal with the reparations? Because that's like a Civil War territory for the Democrats.
Yeah. The Maryland Constitution requires that if the General Assembly wants to override a veto, they have to take that action the next available either special or regular session.
Mhm.
So if they want to override the veto, which from the conversations I'm having, yes, they definitely want to override the veto. They're going to do that next Tuesday. It has to start in the Senate because it was a Senate bill that passed, so the Senate would override it, then it would come back to the House.
Huh. So they're going
Yeah,
to.
that was a good reaction, Dwight. I like that.
Yeah,
Huh.
so it sounds like a lot of bad things are going to happen. How many days is this special session?
No, nobody knows.
This is really reprehensible by Westmore calling in. He had all fall to call you back for a special session for this. Now he's doing it right before Christmas and Hanukkah. People have Christmas shopping to do and Hanukkah shopping to do and stuff like that. This guy, this shows what
But
a.
Dwight, seriously, but the explanation that the governor gave is that it's an opportunity to elect a new speaker. Now, I wanted to kind of throw Chris, sort of the ball back to Chris, so to speak. Is it really necessary to elect a new speaker prior to the beginning of the regular session?
Yeah, somebody else had asked me that. I mean, technically, the speaker pro tem, who's Dana Stein, Delegate Dana Stein. I mean, he is essentially the acting speaker of the House until we vote on it. No, we don't officially need somebody. However, my what I'm from my guess is that she wants to probably get into the actual office. So the current speaker, or sorry, who will be the next speaker most likely, Jocelyn Penamelnick. She's currently a committee chair, so that means her office is back in behind. It's back where the committee meets. It's behind the committee over in the House office building. So she will literally need to move her office across the street over to the State House, which is where the speaker is. She's probably going to have to hire. She doesn't necessarily have to. She could keep everybody that works for the speaker, but I would assume she would want to put some of her own people in. So a part of me kind of understands because there are I've seen delegates who have been hired who've gotten appointed mid-session or the first day of session, and I feel bad for them because they're scrambling. I mean, they're literally just trying to get their laptop. They got to hire people. I won my election in July of 22, so I had like literally half a year to get my stuff together. So I kind of get it that she wants to get into the office, hire some people, and not be doing that on day one of session. So, is it worth all of us going down there? No, probably not. But I get why she wants to do it.
Can you do a mail-in vote for the speaker? Couldn't you guys all just mail in your votes? And they seem to love. I was over at the Board of Elections in Montgomery County, and what is with the Maryland primary being in June 23rd? I know Mark disagrees with me, but I mean, June 23rd, everyone's off to the beaches and at weddings and vacations. No one wants to stick around here for a primary vote. And the woman goes, well, you could always vote by mail,
Perfect reason to vote by mail, if you could say.
I go, why can't they just vote absentee? We didn't need to have this mail-in crap that you guys are doing. And she goes on and says, well, people really like the mail-in voting. Who, Democrats? And then I left.
I hesitate to take the bait and to ask
Mm-hmm.
what your preferred date is for the primary.
So the first Tuesday in March.
I think that, well, but isn't that terrible for the legislators who are going to be in session while the primary is going on?
Okay, we could do it the Tuesday after they get out of session. How's that?
Well, you need a little bit. I mean, I actually genuinely think it's a, Chris, we're just going to have an argument. You can just go and have dinner while we. It's like, okay. I was just going to say, so Chris is I'm going to bring it back to Chris. Chris is a great example of a delegate who, after session, goes out and talks to people and explains what happens and
Mhm.
goes in with a list of bills and tailors his remarks to what people are interested in. And that's a really constructive feature of a Maryland government, I think. Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. And so having that period of time after session is probably pretty valuable to help people decide who they want to vote for in a primary. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you, Chris, to react to that. How do you feel about that in terms of scheduling the primary?
As you know, if this was in 2022, I would say sure, why not do it in March, do it in April. But as somebody who's now seeking reelection,
Yes.
will be spending very few days in my district, and because between January and April, 95% of my time will be spent in Annapolis, not campaigning. I think you would have a hard time convincing the General Assembly to put the election in the while we're in session, just because it would not be helpful to any incumbent.
And we all know
But
what is the
ha-
first the first imperative for election laws is to help. And you don't have to say this, Chris. We're not going to try and put words in your mouth, and we know you're in the minority, but let's say the prime directive for election laws is to reelect incumbents, right?
Yeah, incumbent protection program.
Yes. Anyway,
but Mark, didn't we asked, remember when Governor Ehrlich was governor, didn't they move the primary date all the way to April or May? I mean April or March, because the Democrats all of a sudden, oh, we don't have time to campaign between September and November because our primaries used to be the first Tuesday after Labor Day.
yeah, well, that's a whole another thing.
Yeah.
So let me
But
come back to the session, because we're really fortunate to have somebody who's going to be going into Annapolis. We've obviously talked about the speaker's election, which is important, and I hear what you're saying. It's really important to move those offices and hire that staff, because and I'm being serious. Maryland has a fairly short session, and so a lot has to get done in an abbreviated period of time. It's not like some states, which New York and California, go on and on forever and ever and ever as full-time legislatures. What other issues do you expect to be coming up? And I think particularly is, what are you hearing about redistricting?
So I have, I've been trying to keep up reading all the different articles and texting with my colleagues and talking to them. I don't think I've heard yet about, obviously, Speaker Jones. She was very clear that she was in favor of redistricting. Senate President Ferguson, not in favor of redistricting. I've caught yet, Penna Melnick's. I don't know if I've caught her opinion that this is something that she's gung ho on. Obviously, if the Senate president, if his mind doesn't change, it's not going to go anywhere. If she's also not a big fan of it, then it's certainly dead in the water. Then you just have the governor kind of screaming at the wall, and his commission's kind of worthless. The commission already is worthless. It'll be real worthless if neither house wants to take him up on it.
and I've heard this lady, she's actually a speaker, was any Republican polls dead on arrival. Evidently she's willing to listen to Republicans' point of view. It's not DOA like it was with the current speaker.
Yeah, she certainly, of the people who were putting their names out there as candidates, she was without a doubt the best case scenario for us as Republicans. I think you can make an argument that Delegate C.T. Wilson, the chairman of Economic Matters, I think you could easily say that he is certainly more, and I would never call any of these people a moderate, but he's certainly probably more to the center than kind of Melnick is. But I think personality wise, and as far as giving us a fair shake, I think she certainly is the best case scenario for Republic. Is she very liberal? 100%, but she, I mean, she's allowed me to pass 2 bills in her committee, so I've gotten stuff out of her committee successfully. She's got several members of the Freedom Caucus who, if you follow anything that they're up to, they've certainly, raised a lot of hell down in Annapolis, and I think three of those guys are on her committee, and she works well with even with those guys, so she can work with anybody really.
So are there other, we've all focused on the reparations bill. Are there other veto override bills that are in the works?
I mean, he actually vetoed a large number of bills this time go around, and they were, I think they were all Democrat bills. Katie Fry Hester, state senator out of Howard County and a little bit of Montgomery County, used to be a little bit of Carroll. She had a bunch of her bills vetoed, and I was talking to somebody that works for her not too long ago, and I was like, was that personal? What was the deal with that? Why did she get so many of her bills vetoed? And one of them wasn't, I think one of them was energy related. Another maybe was like cybersecurity. I mean, they weren't incredibly partisan either. I haven't heard that, and maybe on the Senate they're talking about this, but I haven't heard them talk about overriding. She had quite a few, but no, that's the only one that I'm really hearing about is the referendum. And it's a big deal for the Democrats to override a veto of the Democratic governor.
Right.
So I don't think they're going to do too many, but the reparations was just a bridge. It was just too much for them to sit on the sideline and just go with the governor. They couldn't sit on the sideline for this one. I mean, they were extremely pissed when he vetoed that.
So the prospects of some kind of last minute compromise, you're seeing that they're going to go ahead and override.
The only thing that I can think of is, I mean, clearly the governor doesn't want the veto to be overridden, but he knows that by sending us back that they have to do it. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it Tuesday. The only thing I can think of is maybe if he worked out a deal, if going back to the value I think behind a special session, if I'm the incoming speaker, is like, get my ducks in a row, move my office, hire staff. The only thing I can think of is that maybe he, and I'm completely, right, just a hypothetical. Nobody's told me this, but it's possible that maybe he worked out a deal with her and he said, I understand you probably want to get into your office, hire people. We could do a special session, but with that, can't do an override. If I was him, that's the deal I would have made if I was the governor. And
have some sort of middle of the road between those two positions. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah. So let me just say, you were talking about Tuesday. You expected it to be only one day.
I was texting with a couple of my Democrat colleagues, and they were saying to me, they were like, "Can you and your colleagues please not debate, not drag? We're really trying to get home on Tuesday." So the folks who are in charge, they're Democrats, they certainly have the intentions of this being a one-day thing. But like I said, my response to them was, I said, well, don't try to override we'll be out there. I mean, if they do try to override the veto, I don't think it's going to go into Wednesday, but we certainly will be arguing over that on the floor.
Although, Chris, you could always do what we do at our state party convention. Somebody gets recognized, do a motion to adjourn and just clear out. They're only that easy, right?
Yeah.
So what I find fascinating was that request of don't don't run out the clock. Shouldn't that be directed at the Freedom Caucus?
On what? On trying.
I'm only half serious of being worried that Republicans will stretch by making a number of political points.
I mean, there's yeah. If and I think it's likely reparations comes through again on Tuesday. I mean, I have no doubt that there'll be several people in our caucus who will want to stand up and speak.
Right.
I mean, because it's only, I mean, and quite frankly, the governor, his whole reason for vetoing the bill was
Right.
he, number one, he didn't think that we should spend any more money. He vetoed a couple study bills. So he didn't think, with all of our budget challenges, that we should be spending money studying the issue, because we don't need to study this anymore. We need to take action now. What that action is or was, not quite sure. Don't really care. But if you're looking at if one of the reasons he wanted to veto it was because of money, then hello.
What about Blueprint? Blueprint could have been put on the shelf too. If money was such a big concern.
Looking at the FY20 fiscal year 27 budget with a $1.4 billion deficit. So, I mean, reparations, regardless of how you feel about it. I mean, going back to one of Wes Moore's arguments is there's no money. Why we shouldn't be spending money studying this or doing other things. And really, we shouldn't be doing anything new because we're once again facing a budget deficit.
And
so, go ahead, Dwight.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was going to pivot away so I don't know if we had more to talk about on the special session, but I was going to. When we originally reached out to you, Chris, we were planning to talk about the upcoming session in January. This is, of course, the time in which bills are pre-filed or are introduced prior to going back into session. So I was going to ask you about that, what bills you were looking for, and what did you see coming from some of your colleagues as well?
Yeah, so some of the more terrifying bills that I know are coming and will be in my committee, the House Judiciary. Once again, the Democrats are trying to stop. There's certain crimes that we automatically charge youth as adults, and those are pretty horrific crimes. Unfortunately, the chair of the Senate, the Senate equivalent of my committee, Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee, the chair, Will Smith, is pushing to stop automatically charging youth as adults for those few crimes that they do. So that's I'm worried about that one. The 287G program, that is going to be one in my committee. That was a major win for us as Republicans last session. It took a lot of work to stop that bill from passing. Well, let me back up. The bill did pass, but it didn't reflect what the original bill looked like at all. I mean, the original bill was trying to stop local jurisdictions from working with ICE through agreements. And what bill did actually pass at the end of the session was the Attorney General's office sends out guidance to law enforcement, reminding them what they can and can't do, and how to try to work with ICE. Like right now, all the school systems have to come up with a policy that checks these boxes that the Attorney General established via this legislation. The legislation really was it barely does anything. And so the House Democrats were super frustrated that the version that passed did not look like what they wanted to do. So, of course, we always knew that the House was going to come back this year with the same bill. Unfortunately, I think because he's catching so much heat over the redistricting, he's gotten labeled the most hated Democrat in the United States. He's looking at the situation and thinking, well, how can I please my Democrats? How can I bring back my base? So he decided, this is going to be a policy I'm going to adopt.
Right.
So with the Senate, I mean, the Senate was the main reason that we were able to change and stop change the bill and stop their original what they were trying to do originally. The fact that the Senate president now is saying he's 100% on board, it's going to be real hard to stop that bill this go around. And then the other one that was introduced last year in the House and is going to come back is a bill that changes a bunch of primary offenses in regards to being able to stop somebody to make a traffic stop. It changes a bunch of primary offenses over to being secondary stops, and a secondary stop you can't pull somebody over just for a secondary offense. There has to be a primary reason. But what they want to do is they want to take a bunch of primary offenses like broken tail light, expired tags, stuff like that, and change them to secondary. So then, and I mean, anybody that that reads the newspaper, I mean, you going back, you can look at any time a serial killer or somebody's gotten busted for having a trunk full of drugs or guns, they're not getting pulled over for a DUI. They're getting pulled over for a broken tail light, expired tags or something like that, which then leads to a bigger crime. But they have this argument that there is a racial component and that for decades African Americans have been for broken tail light, expired tags, and then it leads to a marijuana bust or a cop assaulting somebody. So they want to change these primary offenses, the secondary
So
they can't pull them over for it.
So Chris, is insurance violation also one of those primary ones? They're gonna knock it down to a secondary insurance violation?
I would
I hope they don't.
I've seen, I would imagine it probably would be on that list.
Because there are so many uninsured motorists. I mean, when I got hit, it was by an uninsured motorist years ago, pre-pandemic. But it's like,
but usually, Dwight, I mean, not to get off but usually the police officer is not visibly going to know that a car. It's only going to be later when they stop that they're going to know that they don't have insurance, right?
Can they not? But don't they suspend plates or shouldn't they suspend plates for people that don't have insurance? Because I know the state of Maryland finds out about when someone doesn't have car insurance.
Yeah, Mark, you're right. You wouldn't know that until you got pulled over. But having no insurance probably does lead to getting your license, if not your tax, suspended. So one way or another, yeah.
Oh, so it makes me feel real safe in Montgomery County now that people can drive around without insurance.
It's my sheriff. He put together he built a whole list of all like the top serial killers of like 50 years and how they all got busted basically by getting pulled over for certainly not for murdering. Right. Pulled over for something small, which then led to them getting busted. And it's the same. The Democrats love to talk about, they don't actually care about, people illegally possessing firearms, but they do care about, people legally possessing firearms, and supposedly they care about people illegally. They don't care about illegally possessing a firearm. They do care about illegally selling a firearm. And so many times people get busted, especially going up 95, transporting a large number of guns, and once again they get pulled over for stupid crap like a broken tail light and stuff like that. So I mean, we made this argument earlier this year. We're like, you guys say you want to get guns off the streets. Well, this is these stops that you hate so much. It's kind of what leads to a lot of times us busting people who are transporting a large number of firearms.
Right.
Are they? By the way, are they going to do anything about when? Let's say somebody's driving by and you smell pot coming out of the car. Are they going to be them over? Or is it going to be still same old with? Because I tell you, it's a big problem I'm finding. Like when I go over to NASA over in Prince George's County, um, as soon as I hit that IKEA, I start smelling pot. That means people are driving around smoking pot, which means they should be pulled over. But I remember a few years ago you said that the new rule says you can't pull people over just for, or is that just yeah?
Yeah, just the smell of marijuana does not give the cop enough to pull. Yeah, there needs to be more, and it's completely ridiculous. Yeah, we have had. I did a bill 2 years ago that tried to actually adopt kind of a standard for being high and driving, almost kind of like an equivalent to a B level for alcohol. And there was zero interest in that bill. It's just wild. I mean, the whole thing with marijuana was they kept arguing. We just want to get it in line with alcohol. We just want folks that smoke weed, just to be on the same level as people who are drinking. And the reality is you are much better off at this point smoking pot than drinking. Because it's almost impossible to get busted driving high. I mean, there's like 100 some cops in the whole state that are even certified to actually test somebody to see if they're high. And so there's not exactly a lot of people out there who even have the ability to even do the test. And so, we just opened the floodgates to people driving. There was just an article a couple months ago about how the number of accidents and had increased because of people being able to drive high. Yes, technically legal. Yes, you're technically not allowed to, but nobody's getting busted. It's impossible to. Meanwhile, with drinking and driving, every year they double down and increase the penalties and get tougher and tougher on drinking and driving. Mm-hmm. With smoking marijuana, they were just like, "Hey, get on the road, guys. It's free."
So you just said something I really didn't know. So there are tests for marijuana. It's a question of rolling them out more extensively. Did I hear you right about that?
Yeah. There's a certification that some members of law enforcement that mm-hmm. certified, and they can do. They'll draw blood either at the scene or back in the station. But it's seriously, because I did this bill. There's only like 120 or so cops total who are certified. So you have to imagine there's not a lot of people getting popped for this.
Right.
So, but and I think I know in the old days when if a spectator to say a kid's little league game showed up drunk, you could ask him to leave. Yeah. I tell you, people are telling me they go to little league games and they smell marijuana from the people that are in the audience, and you can't ask them to leave because you're.
I made this argument in our committee a year or two ago, saying I used that exact same example. I said,
yeah.
There was always like someone's parent who showed up to the game was smelled too much of alcohol, and somebody would kind of tell them to leave, and a cop could tell them to leave. But no, yes, with marijuana, absolutely. I made that argument. I said, so you're telling me that somebody can show up to the park full of kids reeking of marijuana? I said, what about if I went to a school for parent week when you go in the classroom? So you're telling me I could go in reeking of marijuana and nobody could say anything to me? And they said, yeah, that is.
And it also comes down to this, right? If you're not allowed to smoke outdoors at little league games, secondhand smoke, blah, blah, blah. What about this? I mean, I think this marijuana stuff is so new. We don't know the effects of the secondhand smoke. The smell from people. I know for some people, I do know that marijuana does trigger very profuse allergy attacks and so on. And it's so sad that these Democrats who are going to keep raising the taxes on cigarettes, because as they get fewer and fewer smokers, they are adding a tax on thereby. But and I mean, they've shunned smokers, in Montgomery County, you could be like when I go running through some of the parks, I can smell the marijuana. People just sitting at the bench and smoking marijuana. Nobody's bothered by that. But if somebody is sitting at the bench and smoking, or on their own deck along Beach Drive and they're smoking, and some runner smells the smoke, it becomes like a federal issue. Why? Where's the outrage? I mean, is this the new okay drug for the left?
It is. Yeah, it is.
The answer is yes.
Big
So
marijuana.
let's talk about the bills that you've got working on, Chris.
Yeah. One of the bills that I've now introduced twice. This would be the third year, and I'm hoping every year.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, every year I hope that I can get this thing through. But is my my fentanyl legislation that targets fentanyl dealers who sell a drug that has fentanyl in it and directly results in the death of their customer, essentially. I have this past year or past session, I found an unlikely ally in Jeff Wallstreicher, one of your guys.
Yeah.
He actually was he was a true believer in this legislation, and was a great ally. We had a lot of opposition, and opposition's mostly all coming from his side of the aisle, but he never buckled. He stayed firm, and I really did appreciate him teaming up with me on that. This year, what I'm trying to change. My idea this year to change the bill to hopefully make it more palatable so it can actually pass is changing it so that you have to have a prior conviction, a prior drug conviction, to be able to apply for state prosecutors to use to go after somebody with this. Because what we keep hearing from the opposition is they have this firm belief that if the bill as introduced year 1 and year 2, if it was passed, you're not going to be going after, you're not going to capture the true drug dealers. You're going to be capturing, innocent people who also are addicts, just, friends sharing, lovers sharing with each other, despite the fact that I have a ton of language in the bill that makes it clear that you have to have actually sold it. It can't be sharing amongst friends or lovers, whatever. Right. But so what I want to do with this change is I'm basically saying, okay, you have to have been already busted once, convicted of a prior drug convict. You have to have a prior drug conviction. Then you got busted a second time, and the second time you sold it, it resulted in someone dying. So please tell me how this person is not an actual drug dealer. Otherwise, there's the most unluckiest right. Addict who just happens to has been busted twice, and the second time resulted in somebody dying. So I like to think that maybe this new element of the bill will give it more legs, and it can actually pass. We'll see.
But this is like a no-brainer. You think, why? I mean, it shouldn't even be it should be a simple yes, vote for this, opposed to, I don't see the controversy at all. I don't see it.
Crazy. It is. Another bill, and I was talking with Maria Sophia at the convention about this. A bill that I got passed my first year requires the State Board of Elections to post on their website the results of municipal elections. And if you go to the main page of the Board of Elections right now, scroll down. It's right on the homepage for 2025's election results. Are all 157 municipalities doing it? Not necessarily, but the way I look at it, even if a quarter, even if a third are doing it, I mean, those are more election results than you were able to find 2 years ago for a local race. So what I want to do now, I wanted to do it my first year with the bill, but I met MML, the Maryland Municipal League, who represents municipalities. They pushed back on this, which is just tells you everything you need. I'm just going to go for it again at this point. But I wanted to require municipalities to send over to the State Board of Elections when the election is, when the filing deadline is, what are the qualifications to be a candidate, and then after the filing deadline, put on there who the candidates are, which is for any county race, state race, president, whatever, school board, all that information is already on the state board of elections website. It's kind of a
Right.
one-stop. It's just the local races, and I understand why the local races, municipal races, why it wasn't on there to begin with, because the state doesn't run local municipal races. So I get it, but I like the idea of there being one place that you can go and get all the information about your municipal elections. And so I met resistance from MML. Apparently they did not want people to know when the election is, how to be a candidate, and who the candidates are. They were fine with. I'll let you come to your own conclusion on that. But I think I'm going to take a stab at that again and try to get the rest of what I originally wanted to do. I think I'm going to try to get that through, because I do think, I think it's a good, if you are in the business of election transparency and wanting more people to run and be active and vote, then I don't see how you could not support this legislation, because it's about giving people more access to or allowing people to have a better understanding of municipal races, which, we have 8 municipalities here in Carroll County, 7 of which are in my district. And several elections will go by where there will be not a single person challenging. Actually, in my local municipality, there weren't even enough candidates running. I think there was 3 council seats up and 2 people ran. So the 2 people who ran automatically won, and then they had to appoint a third person. So I'm interested in it. And my thought is, well, maybe if it was easier to figure out how to be a candidate or how to vote, people would be interested.
So let me ask my feel good proposal. I know you read closely our Direct Line News Substack. I have advocated having Old Bay designated as the state spice. Now, I got to believe you could probably find a Democratic co-sponsor across the aisle for that. You probably could get some senators to sign in as well. So what do you think?
That's not already the case?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Actually, we also need to make the Square Pizza the official pizza of the state of Maryland.
Well, that was the other thing and this is actually an interesting angle is there's a site that tracks all this. You would think that each state or each locality that has its own kind of pizza style would designate their pizza style as the official Chicago or Illinois, whatever it is. But that's not the case. So it's a real opportunity for Maryland to step up as well, to say Square Pizza.
Yeah, we just this past session, a bill was passed to make the Orange Crush the official cocktail of Maryland, because it's
excellent choice.
The original place city right before you go over the bridge into actual Ocean City. Those bills, they do come up and they do pass.
Yes, well, I know. Chris, I could almost read Chris's reaction as, I'm a serious legislator.
No, what I'm thinking is, right now I've got like 10 ideas and I'm trying to figure out how.
I'm a serious legislator. Yeah. I've got to anyway.
I'm trying to take 10 ideas and figure out if I can get it down to more like 6 or 8. Because all joking aside, this past session, my first 2 years I did 4 bills year 1, 4 bills year 2. This past year I did 8 bills. So I did double the number I had, but then I was also delegation chair. So I also had the weight of trying to pass our delegation bills on my shoulders. And I got to tell you, I felt it, and I was not able to put as much love into every bill, because to pass a bill, you really do have to spend a lot. It's more than just introduce. It's more than just showing up. And you can do the bare minimum is just showing up and introducing it for 3 minutes and then walking away. If you want to actually get a bill passed, you have to work things behind the scenes. You need to line up your testimony, get support, work out all the kinks in it. and really work that thing through, because nobody else is watching. Nobody else is looking out for you to try to get your stuff passed. They'll pass your stuff, but you gotta remind them that it's important. So, when you go from 4 bills to 8 bills to 12 bills, you start to stretch yourself thin. And I always say, like this past year when I wasn't able to pass any of my bills, I said I wasn't able to put as much love into each bill like I did my first 2 years. So I love the old Bay idea, but I'm currently trying to downsize my bill.
I hear you. See, I could keep going on this. Many states also have a state BAT.
BAT,
BAT, which is, again, as I said, states don't have pizza, but apparently there's a constituency out there that goes for the state BAT. And so my recommendation is that, again, this should be bipartisan. Cal Ripken should be recognized as our state BAT.
I can get behind that.
You can see you can see Chris is speechless. But listen, because I know how strongly Dwight feels about the cannabis issue. So one of the categories all across the state, various states have state grasses recognized. So what I'm suggesting, you could give this to I'm sure in District 20 they would love this. Have the state grass the blunt.
I think that's an ideal on Tuesday. I'm going to pitch to Democrat friend.
Actually, in all candor, it could be an interesting proposal. Maybe not. You're more serious. To your credit, you're a more serious legislator, but for perhaps a legislator that's looking for a little publicity to pick up one of these bipartisan proposals, because I confess they probably get inordinate attention in the media, far more attention than they really deserve.
Yeah, they might be.
Perhaps this
for your grass idea, they might be the High Times magazine Man of the Year or something.
There you go. I can think of a Republican lobbyist who would get behind that, but I think
if he were still in the state house,
we'll keep quiet about that and let people.
If he were still in the state house, he'd probably just do it himself.
No, exactly. What I'm talking about.
Yes.
By the way, David Moon, speaking of District 20, claims he doesn't want to do any tax hikes. Does that just mean we're going to get a whole bunch of fee increases this session?
I don't think. I mean, taxes and fees are obviously two different things. But I think when he said that, he meant taxes and fees. Because quite frankly, I think more people have been out of shape on the fee increases than the tax that came out of this past session. I mean, all the stuff related to the MVA with the tag and title work. I mean, that's all fee. Those are fees, not taxes. So I don't think they're trying to raise or introduce any new taxes and fees, because it's especially the fee part. That's the one that I think more people are up in arms about.
So we can rest assured our tolls are not going to be going up next year.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that they're going to exactly stick by that.
That's their intention. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took that when I saw David Moon's piece. I thought there's no way he's getting ahead of leadership. He was reflecting what their internal consensus was. Hey, listen, we're now kind of at the top of the thing. We're kind of at our normal ending. We wanted to give you, Chris, an opportunity to promote whatever you guys have coming up in the next couple of days. I realize you're a little tied up next Tuesday, but tell us about the other things that you're involved with.
Let's see. I don't know. I feel like I'm speaking with a million different groups in the next 4 or 5 weeks, however many weeks we're away from session. There's anything necessarily, I don't think there's anything necessarily.
Did you have a fundraiser or something coming up this weekend, Chris?
The fundraiser on Saturday. Yeah. I'm doing my Christmas party fundraiser on Saturday, up here in Manchester. So I've got that going on.
And where can people go to find out about that?
They can shoot me an email at christophertomlinson1@gmail.com, and I can certainly provide that information.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been great having you
Yeah.
on the show.
Thank you, Chris, and appreciate it. And good luck on Tuesday. Hopefully, you get out of there in a day.
Well,
Right.
I actually have to be back in Annapolis on Wednesday morning for work for my day job. So I don't. I think I'm just going to stay on Tuesday down there Tuesday night. So I don't really care how long it goes.
Yeah.
All right.
There's always
Great
the
having
motion
you
to
on.
adjourn.
Yeah.
Anyways, good night.
All right. Thanks.
Let's go down to Missoni, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Missoni,